Folks, going to call a meeting to order here at 1 Academy Street on Tuesday, April 19th at 7 p.m. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join us. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda review. Nicole, you got anything to add?
I do not.
Okay. Earl, anything?
Nope.
Kathy?
I'm good.
Anything? Brian? Anything?
Just that, and I've got it in italics under number 7, Elizabeth Nance's report. If she's going to be on Zoom with us or not, but she was planning on it.
Okay. Alright. And, I hear a motion to approve the April 5th regular select board meeting minutes.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from April 5th.
I will second.
Alright. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public comment? Anybody got anything to discuss? It's not on the agenda or comment on? We got
Sorry.
one here. No, right. You all good? Good?
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
I'd just like to thank the DPW for the great job that they've done with clearing the snow this winter.
Oh, good, good.
They
Yep.
did a great job. I live out on Hog Island, and then they come in and they do the sweeping, and it's all
Yeah.
really nice. I
Good.
walk my dogs out there. They do a great job.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Liquor control. We did recess the regular meeting and go into liquor control meeting.
Alright, I'll move that we recess the regular select board meeting to convene the liquor control board meeting.
I'll second.
In a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. We're now on liquor control. We got a couple liquor licenses approved,
Yes, I
or
do.
one.
And actually, the first one I'm gonna do is Mama Bear's Inc., formerly known as the Swanton House of Pizza. Because we have the new operator owner with us, who's sitting in the audience, Rebecca. And
Welcome.
just wanted to let her come so we could meet her and
Yep.
she's taking over the Swanton House of Pizza.
Cool. Well,
So it's just a
congratulations.
renewal.
Yeah.
It's due to really switch over on the 1st.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
And it's something we started a couple years ago that we the board asked that new people that opened a new business and we're looking for a liquor license to come to the board so we can meet them and stuff like that. That's the only reason. So we know our business people, so. We have, that's
And
the only
there's-
one?
No, and we have another one, Champlain Farms, the
Okay.
formerly Pump and Munch, they're
Yep.
going to open it up, so they're getting the license back in their name now.
Okay, yeah. And no one here represents them?
No,
No.
it's just a renewal, they do 2 stores, and
Yeah.
they just didn't do this one because they had leased it out to somebody.
Yeah.
And now it's back to them
Okay,
to lease again.
okay,
Alright.
alright. Then it's just 2?
That's it, just those
Okay,
2.
I'll entertain a motion to approve those 2 liquor licenses.
Alright, I'll move that we approve the liquor licenses for the Swanton House of Pizza's new owner and the Champlain Farms, which is taking over Pump and
Pump and
Munch.
Munch, right on, used to be on the
Yeah,
corner right here.
yeah,
Okay,
I will second that.
alright. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
yeah. Aye.
Aye, opposed, ayes have it. Alright, thank you very much. And
We hope you can do some miracles on Merchant Road.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
My only question is can
Yeah.
I put a table out front on the sidewalk?
That's a village issue.
is that a
Or
village
is that
question?
something different?
Yeah.
That would be a village question, you have to call the village.
Okay.
Yeah,
office.
speak to Reggie at the village over there, you can ask, because technically that's village property, not town property, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
And you may wanna clear it with liquor control.
I don't wanna serve out there, I want just food out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you though.
good cover, yeah,
Um,
but, yeah, it'd probably be great, but,
I-
yeah, just ask them first for permission, but,
Alright,
no, most definitely. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, we're here, so,
thank you.
thank you.
And again, my last meal was very delicious.
I was just gonna say, we had some of their pizza and stuff there the other night, it was good, so.
Kathy said her salad last Friday was good. Or last Thursday,
Yeah, that was very good.
Wednesday, whenever it was.
I'll entertain a motion to go back in our regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the liquor control board and re-enter the select board meeting.
I'll second it.
Second on that, alright, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nice to have it. Law enforcement, animal control report, page 9.
Actually, the actual report is on page 10.
Alright, well, I just looked at it. Jim's not on, is he? No. Pretty cut and dry. Not that I can answer any questions, any questions on that?
No, I just been thinking about
Yep.
most of these.
Okay. Earl, you all good? Animal control report?
Well, I was looking for it, but.
Chris, you just had your fingers on there.
Right on page
Okay.
10, your finger's on it.
Oh, animal control, I was
Yeah.
looking for the other one.
Yeah, I don't think you have one to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, no, I don't have a problem.
Okay,
Same thing it usually
and the
is.
health officer, we're gonna table that, because we
Right.
don't have a report from her this week. Old Town Business, RTP grant,
Grant,
yep,
Slash
grant lease
execute.
agreement with state and Joel, page 12.
so. Joel is here.
Joel is here.
Joel was here.
Hi, Joel.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good, how are you?
Very
Page
good.
is that on 12? Yeah.
Good, well,
Regarding the RTP grant, the deadline has been moved to 26 May, which is actually a benefit. It was gonna be the end of April. And the lease itself with the state was coming down to the wire. The good news is the state got on it, and before you tonight is a document that they're ready to have you sign, if you guys are ready to sign, to lease that piece of property. It's right around an acre. It's what we showed you before when we were applying for the grant to put the parking area
Mhm.
at the end of the western terminus of the Memorial Valley Rail Trail.
Okay.
That was one of the conditions of the grant, was that the lease be executed prior to the submission date of the grant. So we should have no problem with that if you folks are in agreement to sign it. It's a lot of bureaucratic paragraphs.
I wonder why the packet was so thick tonight. This
Yeah,
explains it all right
Yeah,
here.
it's about
We're
20
dealing with
pages
state.
just for the pretty basic
Yep,
lease of the property, 5 years at a time, $1 a year.
yep.
Um,
Mhm.
What we talked about last meeting, and I don't know, James, how much you got.
I grabbed
briefed
little
on it.
bits and pieces of it, yeah.
But for the grant itself, 30,000's the max. The other
Mhm.
grant we applied for, we wanted 100 something, cause we're gonna do it all with contractor labor. But
Yep.
If we get 30,000, what I'm hoping, if the board's in agreement, there was overall, I think, positive vibes at the last meeting about trying to work with the highway department a bit to clear the land and maybe put some gravel in. I would go help lay it all out.
Mhm.
But what we need to do is get this lease done, apply for the grant. If we get the 30,000,
Okay.
got some permits we need to submit.
Yep.
And so on. But I think it'd be a nice project, even if we just get the 30,000 to get some parking area there and make
Yep.
it more accessible.
Oh, absolutely, I think it'd be great.
So I would work with Brian once I'm gonna be gone for about a week and a half, once I get back early May. Make
Mhm.
sure we make the 26 May deadline if we have the lease executed.
Okay.
And, see if we can get the money and get that project going.
When they going to announce the grant? There's some,
They don't have a deadline. on
They
that.
gave us a deadline at the end of April and they didn't even have the paperwork ready to do it online, so they slipped it a month, so. Last time we thought early January, it was into February before we got the announcement. I have no idea.
so you probably ain't gonna get any money this year then.
Well, I think the approval could come if it's end of May, I would say end of July.
Okay, it's possible.
Yeah, and then I wanna talk with Cross Consultant and see whether we can do some of the clearing or whether we gotta get a wetlands permit first. Yeah, we may be able to get some clearing and some work done later.
And the state,
I wish I could give you more detail, Earl, I just, it's
Yeah,
all dependent on the state.
well, yeah, so it's $1 a year, this is a 5-year lease.
Yeah.
More than likely you'll have to renew it, right?
Oh yes, it's the same thing we do for Robin Hood.
Robin Hood's the same
They
way.
they
Same
leased us
deal.
the property for Robin Hood, it's called Rail Bank.
Yeah.
So the state's never gonna give it up, they'll let you use it, and if they ever wanna put a railroad in, they'll tell you to take your road and take your parking area and we're gonna put the railroad back. But-
So the cover letter, is that we have to send a check for $300 to the state of Vermont.
That's a
For the
one-time fee.
document preparation fee.
Yeah,
And then it says about, submitting a check, for the recording fee payable to the town of Swanton, but, I think we usually,
I think we can waive that for our own use. Have a good night.
own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have to send it to them so they can sign off, and they'll send it back, and I'll send a letter with it saying,
Okay,
if you're gonna waive the fee, so don't worry.
okay.
Well, then I'll make a motion that we approve the signing of this lease with the, state of Vermont, so that we can, secure that property, the trailhead to the Moore Valley Railroad,
And I will second that.
Alright,
Okay, so I get through the papers here, I'll get to the signature line.
alright. Any other discussion on that? Alright, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nice have it.
I believe there's the lease itself. Which is gonna be on this signature page, and of course, Ed and Mark are not with us, but we got the majority of the board. Then we'll have Kathy notarize that if she'd be so kind. And
Okay.
then, there's I think it's the memorandum of lease. That's what it is, memorandum of lease, that has to be
Okay.
signed.
I'll let you guys sign that. I can snip it.
That's for the memorandum. Then Kathy, do you wanna do this now, or we can do it?
I can if you want me to.
Okay, this,
Yeah.
this is for the lease, this one is for the memorandum. It says it on the bottom.
Two signatures.
And
Two
are we-
sig-
Two notaries.
Us, for us, two signatures.
Correct,
And then she
yes,
can
two
notarize.
Are we
signatures.
gonna, excuse me, are we gonna have Mark and Ed come and sign, because in the bottom it lists all their names right here.
That, or we can cross them out,
Okay.
I don't know, whatever the board.
Whatever is easier, yeah.
Well, it has to be in by a certain time,
Yeah.
probably we'll just cross them out.
Cross them out.
Yeah, and get it in.
Get it in,
Yeah.
if they kick it back, well, we know what to
Yeah.
do, but they,
When does it have to be mailed in by?
oh, that,
That one, if we get there to them in the next week, all they gotta do is get it to, Mr. Flynn, and,
Yeah.
and he signs it, and it's a done deal,
You can-
so.
Okay,
We should
Yeah, we
have,
can-
we should have time.
I'm going with Ed and Mark sometime.
they'll both be back by next week so they can sign it, so.
okay, so we can
Yeah.
hold it.
I think it'll be fine if you
Yeah.
do
Okay.
that and send it
Well,
in.
it just looks more formal with all
Right,
five signatures
yeah.
on there, that's
Okay.
all.
We'll do it
Yeah.
that way
Yeah.
then, okay?
Okay.
So, I'll take, put that in the pending.
You have to make a note, Brian, that you're gonna have to get him in here or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, he'll be back this weekend.
maybe he can give me a ride in his car then.
Okay, yeah. Okay, anything else on that?
That's it, I will say that I have never seen the state get one of these leases out in this much of a time frame.
No one wants to have some
It
connections.
was done very, very well.
Good. Anything else, Joel?
No, that's it, I
Yeah.
just look forward to trying to make some progress on that this fall.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Appreciate the board's support, and I think it'll be a good thing for Swanton and the
Yep.
community at large.
So are you gonna have, is Cross gonna stake it out, the actual area that we're working in and stuff, or how you gonna do that?
I can do that, I can work with them, we can,
It's pretty simple.
I'll talk with them, it's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward, 20 feet from the center line of the,
Yeah.
the rail trail,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. And it's basically on the inside of that other radius
Right,
anyway, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, sounds good. Let me know if you need me.
Okay.
Span memorandum of understanding, art boards 35.
Hey,
And
Evening,
hello everyone.
how are you?
Good. Priscilla Connolly or Sill, and I'm here representing SPAN along with George Connolly, and I think Michelle is on Zoom.
That's
So
here.
it's the three of us that are here. I wanna just bring you back just to kind of catch you up with where we left off, because it's been over a year since we were here. And we came in to show you the MOU, and at that point you wanted to bring it to your lawyer or the lawyer, town's lawyer. And I think that happened.
You did.
And you came back and asked us a couple questions, and at that point, we just kind of said, let us wait, because we were pretty involved with the village and getting the boards up down there. So I'm pretty sure you probably all know, we did successfully get, 3 art boards up in the village and have an agreement with the village with our MOU, and that's gone very, very well and successful. And I think at this point, what we're trying to find out is where you are with an MOU agreement, and to tell you that, yes, we do have insurance, because that was one of the questions.
Okay.
Do we have insurance? We have insurance through the Swanton Arts Council.
Okay.
So, we don't have it on our own, but we have it through them.
Yep.
And the other question I think you had at that time was, well, where do we want the boards to go? Do we have a place? And we don't have anywhere specifically. We're kind of here to also hear, maybe you thought of a place. Two places we thought of was West Swanton somewhere, maybe, just because, there's nothing out there that could be a fun place if we had the right piece of land. Or more towards St. Albans, South Swanton. So those were just 2 areas, not so much we had a piece of land in mind. The other thing we wanted to make very clear is that this isn't really just about the boards. I mean, obviously we started to get the boards back, but it's about public art. Like, it might be about a sculpture, it might be about some other project. And part of us wanting to come to the town is to have this MOU in place, so if a grant came up or if a project came up, we could just be ready to say, hey, here it is, and you would be able to go along with that or not. So that, that's kind of what I like to say. I don't know, Michelle, is there anything you wanted to add to that right now?
No, I think I just want to echo what you just said, is that what we're really asking for right now is to establish a framework of a partnership and a relationship to work together on public art projects if or when they come up, and not to be hung up on the art board component of our, current initiative, and just establish that partnership in the case that happens. It could be that nothing ever happens, and we'd never do anything, but I don't think that's the case. I think all of you are aware of how important art projects are in this community, and how vital they are to the economics of multiple communities all around Vermont, and especially to rural areas. So I would just encourage you to continue to move forward in establishing a platform for us to have public art installations, and you be part of those decision process.
George, do you have anything you want to add?
No.
Okay.
I guess I'm okay now that I think the biggest concern was before was the liability for the town. Now that you have insurance, you're covered under the Arts Council, I'm more comfortable with that. I guess the only question I have, is there a limit number of these that you're gonna put around town? I mean, do you have any idea how many more
You mean you're talking about projects in general?
Yeah,
or
well, the art
boards?
boards themselves.
Yeah, I don't think we do have
No.
a number. I mean, it takes time and energy, and just to keep up with the
Oh,
3
absolutely.
we have, we're probably like, that's what we could do right now. So if we added one more, I mean, I don't see us putting up a lot, because it takes time, money, and energy.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. I mean, you never know how that comes.
Yep.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I would like to answer that is, you being a partner or having us a framework is actually, I would encourage this to be part of the planning commission, town plan, and that it become at some point a focal point for your zoning bylaws that you help foster or approve as the select board, such that you can actually have a say in you will always have a say in control over public art, but even on public or private property, I would think that Swanton, it would be in your best interest to have some guidelines, and I know not a lot of people will agree with me that, we should regulate these types of things, but if you can imagine, what if there is such a movement in Swanton, and every homeowner wants to paint a side of their wall with, polka dots and, you know, cartoons and, you know, random whatever. Is that the visual that we want to have and do we want to be cluttered, or do we wanna have it to be a constructed, strategic approach to public art? And this is our focal point, is to make that to be structured. We would be the people that people could come to and talk about those things, and then we can also advocate on behalf of, you know, local government who might want to regulate some of that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I do have a concern about how, you know, what kind of limitations you would wanna propose as far as regulations go. I'm not opposed to the boards at all, I think, you know, art
Right.
in the community is a really good thing, but, now you're talking about zoning issues. You know, and I know,
Well, I think in the
Well,
end, go ahead, Michelle.
Earl, I can hear you, but that's not part of this conversation. You asked us about what we could be talking about or looking forward into the future. And, you know, when it comes to having, whether it's art boards or multiple murals or, you know, homeowners wanting to do that, I'm just proposing that you might want to be on the forefront of that kind of movement, and this is one approach to that. But, you know, when it comes to having those kind of conversations or putting it into the plan or having zoning, I mean, that's not up to us, that's always up to planning commission and yourselves.
Yeah, I think we're clear on the rules and the regulations around the boards.
Yeah.
That's pretty clear at this point. So that's taken care of already.
well, I mean, yes, but the other side to that is those boards could express what's going on and create discussion, and maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, and so regulating too much sometimes can be a bad thing, and I think it's the same thing. I mean, other people might wanna express things in different ways.
Yes. Well, I think if you read through it, you'll see that we kind of address that.
Yeah.
And there's a way to have a grievance or a complaint, and it is looked at. There'll be a conversation, and there's a process. So, that is already been considered. Obviously, what did happen in the past, we were doing everything we could to make that very different if something comes up like it had in the past, or if it does in the future.
And if I recall, last time I read through this, if someone's gonna paint on one of the boards you put up, they have to, there's a process, you know what they're gonna paint before they paint it.
Well, we don't know
Basically.
exactly what they're gonna
Yeah.
think, that's not quite true.
No, okay,
They can give us a summary or an
Yeah.
idea, but because we felt that wasn't quite fair either, somebody can go up to that board and have an idea, and maybe something else comes to them while they're doing it. I mean, we wanna make sure that artists have a freedom too. I think if it becomes controversial, we put something in place to try to handle those controversial issues.
Alright. Nicole, anything on it?
No, I think they're doing a great job with the art boards right now, and I'm in complete support of them.
Yep.
I think this looks good.
And Nicole, you understand, it's also about, other art projects, as, this is a whole framework for public art in general. Cause that's important to us, we want you to know that.
Well, then I'll make a motion that we approve this memorandum of understanding with SPAN.
Alright, and second on that?
I will second that.
Okay, any other discussion?
I have a quick question. So in this memorandum of understanding, is there a definition of terms and meaning what is art and what will be acceptable and what's not acceptable? And I bring your attention to the Westford middle finger. So that was actually ruled as a piece of art and cannot come down. So it went to court and that was determined. And clearly, being a resident of Hog Island, I'd rather not be driving out on 78 and say hi to a middle finger on the way home. Or there will be some people that really don't want it anywhere at all. I'm also wondering, what's the process that we go through to determine where those pieces of art will be placed? who maintains it. I did notice coming into Swanton, there's still a Halloween sign up, and I love Halloween,
I
but
thought it,
usually not at Christmas.
No,
So,
it's not there
no,
anymore.
that's not there
oh,
anymore.
okay, well, it was there for a long time.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah.
It's down.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, but it was there for a while, right?
Yes, I mean, again, this is just the start again, so it
Yeah.
happened very late. That was a
Right.
community paint, by the way.
Yeah, no, and I think it's wonderful too, but I just wanna urge caution.
Yeah.
And remember that, it's illegal to put, a billboard up in Vermont.
Yes.
So, if you start to send messages through whatever it be, art or whatever it may be, there are some pretty slick lawyers who might look at that, and start some kind of legal melee that you don't want. And that's all I wanted to mention, to
Yes.
bring that up, and let's just be mindful of that.
We need to follow the billboard rules, I mean, whatever they are goes for these boards. We
Absolutely.
can't do things that, what's that?
You can't have one.
Well, it's not a billboard.
It's not a billboard, that's the
And
issue.
it won't have
It's an
words, and it
artwork.
won't have that, yeah, it's not a billboard.
It can't have words on it, and
Correct.
it can't have information on it. It's
Okay.
just a matter of Pete. I gotta finish the motion
Yeah. Yes.
before anyone else talks. We've got a first and a second, all in favor, let the saying aye.
One thing.
What?
I noticed that, David was the authorized signer, so, I mean, that's just a
Okay.
draft anyway, so,
Mhm.
but you probably should include me to sign. on
Yes.
behalf.
Okay,
And then just.
Yes, so with your
the
approval,
update.
Right,
with your approval, I'm happy to send you a finalized draft
Yeah.
with the updated
Yes,
information. We
yeah.
just didn't wanna change anything from the document that we had sent to you
Yeah.
previously.
that's fine, so we need to. Oh boy. We're gonna finish this motion, make another motion to allow Brian to sign this.
Perfect.
Alright, that'll be the simplest
Yeah.
bet. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
And then
Now I need a motion to allow Brian to sign this.
I will make a motion to have Brian Savage be the signer of this document.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Alright.
Opposed, ayes have it. You've got a question?
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
On these, art boards, so anybody can do a painting on them, is that what it is?
yes, there's
No.
a sign up
Right.
procedure.
Certain time frame for the existing painting that's already there?
Yes, they're to be signed, and then it's a 2-week period.
Okay.
So.
Well, I would say it's a minimum of 2 weeks.
Right.
So like, as you just pointed out, something could just be up there for a month or two if nobody chooses to overpaint it. If
Yeah.
somebody comes to us and says, hey, we're tired of seeing Halloween, would you just white it, paint over it, then we could absolutely do that. But we don't arbitrarily paint over, we leave it to the next artist to paint over.
Well, no?
Cause I've seen them and I just didn't know if there was, I didn't know the time period and how long the painting would stay up before somebody could paint over it.
Yeah, and if you go to spanforart.org, it's all there. There's
Okay.
all the information about how to go about it, all the memorandum's not there, but everything that's, the guidelines, and they're pretty clear and
You said Span for Art?
Span for Art,
Okay.
SPAN, it's Swanton Public Arts Network.
With the number 4.
For Span for Art, yes, with the number 4, not FOR. Thank you, Michelle. Well, thank you very much, this is exciting
Thank you
and
for
it's
coming
great
out.
to have it. It's taken a little while to get it, so I thank you for your patience with us too.
Okay,
Yes, thank you so much.
you're welcome.
And I do just wanna say that in April 30th, we're having a community art paint for the boards on the Swanton Beach. So just to know that, we're advertising, but it's, we're trying to do things like that where the community can get involved. And then on June 11th, we're gonna do the board, the 2 boards with the barn quilts, a youth one and an adult one. That'll be, again, a
Nice.
community paint.
Cool.
At John's Bridge,
At
yes.
John's
So you'll see new artwork coming up quite soon. We want to kick off spring.
Nice. Alright.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a
Thank
good
you.
Arts Council, Swanton Arts Council gathering of the, how do you pronounce that? Realms?
Realms. Yes.
David Staus, alright.
I don't know who's supposed to be there. Michelle, do you know any, Janet does this, I don't know, David, I don't know.
What's the topic that's on the agenda? Gathering
It's
of
the
realms?
realms,
Yeah, so that would be Janet to be in attendance for that, so
Right,
if she's not here.
oh,
then-
but it has
No,
David
Right,
Staus.
she was not able to come tonight, so she said David was gonna come.
David Staus?
Oh,
I don't know, who's WS by chance?
no, it would be Dave Winchester.
Okay.
And maybe, he said he was going to come for another reason, but he messaged us saying that he couldn't
Couldn't make
attend
it, he
tonight,
was
so.
working.
Well, we'll table
So
it
if
for
we
another
could push
meeting.
that to the next agenda, is that
Okay.
possible?
Yeah,
Yep.
Thank
Sorry.
you so much.
I didn't know who Staus was. Who was that?
Yes, that's David Strauss, but he's helping with the craft show.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the Swanton Public Library appointment, we're gonna
table that.
table that for the next meeting, so we have a full board discussion. Swanton Public Library grant possibilities. Yeah.
I put that in there, there, Elizabeth had mentioned in an email to you about grant possibilities.
Yeah.
And knowing what there may be need of heating system and elevator repairs.
Yeah.
I didn't know if, you know, the time is running out if we're gonna apply for these grants. In the meantime,
Absolutely.
Rebecca at the library had also run across some other grants that might be a little bit later. There are matches to them, and I didn't know, I know you and Mark had gone over. and did
We
an
have, we
inspection.
all looked around, and there's a couple of things that need to be done
Yeah.
over there.
Are you gonna set a priority? So
Mark wanted to, suggested we put out an RFP for the, heating system, to replace the boiler. There was really three things: the boiler, the insulation issue in the attic because of the ice buildup, and then the painting on the exterior of the building. But we really need to discuss where we're going to get money to pay for this if we don't get a grant.
So we can table that when Mark comes back.
Kinda should, because I don't know what kind of repair funds we have for the library.
I was just trying to keep the
Nope,
conversation.
that's fine, that's fine.
That's all.
When, do you know when the grant deadline is for that?
Um,
I know Elizabeth's on there.
Elizabeth's on there, but it was like in the, I thought the first part of May.
Yeah, I see she's on
Excuse
meeting.
me, and the next one is, the first of May.
First,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
But I know Rebecca had come up with a number of other grants
Okay.
that go later into the summer.
what do we need, Elizabeth, to apply for that grant for the 1st of May?
I would have to pull it up, so basically we would need a cost estimate. I'll tell you what, if you will, maybe move on to the next two and come back to this one, let me pull that up real quick.
Yep. Absolutely, we can do that.
Are these grants gonna be specifically for repairs?
Yes.
Yes,
That's all the ones that everybody's looking at.
that's what we're looking at for the library, yeah.
But is the library people looking for those same grants, or are they looking for something else?
Well, Rebecca had offered to do the legwork to apply for the grant.
Yeah.
And my understanding is the Department of Libraries in the state of Vermont did receive a portion of ARPA money as well to divvy out to various communities in their library program.
Yeah.
So,
Everybody getting a piece of the pie.
right.
Well, it does sound like there could be some significant costs there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that furnace is not what we keep fixed. Yeah, and that's why I brought up the question, because we put furnace, insulation, and painting. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's it's a huge thing, so
Serious money.
we need to see what we have for funds, because if it's a 50% match and we gotta come up with 30-40 grand, we gotta figure out where we get 30-40 grand to do this.
Is it natural?
Well, I
gas?
mean, so I did find the information, pretty quickly. There is a budget, you have to have an estimate. There are lots of uses for the May 1st grant. It doesn't specifically say exterior painting, but, I don't know why you perhaps couldn't. It does include elevators, lifts, bathrooms, wiring, heating, lighting, plumbing. These are just examples. Floodgates, rain gutters, sprinkler systems, kind of thing. Fixed equipment expenses. Now, to your point, James, there is a 1-to-1 match.
Yeah.
Which you will find is pretty common with most of the grants, that are gonna become available. So finding the money,
Recording in progress.
I will, sorry, hate to throw out ARPA funds, but I will throw out ARPA,
Yeah.
as a potential source of match. But I think, as we know,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to be done, so coming up with half might be easier than coming up with all of it, at some point. So I'm happy to help, with any grant application, as I do through the days. Building and general services, that actually used to come up, late June, early July. They pushed the deadline back to September 30th. That can be used for a lot of building, maintenance as well, or equipment, so that's another opportunity later, but.
So we have to have a couple estimates of each thing we're applying for on that grant, the May 1st grant?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It's cutting close.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
I think, obviously, it's your decision, I am happy to help, with the grant writing, or,
Yeah.
gathering the information, if you decide to move forward.
I mean, I probably can find someone to give us a rough estimate to apply, then obviously we gotta put it out to bid anyways, but,
Well, even if we don't get it done for this time, we'll have it for the
Next go around.
next go around.
Yeah. But that's different, it's not the same grant though, right? This grant is, that we're talking about right now, Elizabeth, it's just this one time for this year, right?
It's for this year, but I believe it is an annual grant. So if you do-
Well, we're looking to do the work this year, some of it, so.
Is it a calendar year, Elizabeth?
Let's see.
Yes, it's a calendar year. It looks like it comes open the same time every year,
Okay.
so.
Alright, well, let me see what we can whip up for some estimates to put in to apply for. I don't think we should pass up the opportunity to apply for it.
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what
we can
I'll
get it done.
do is, and I don't wanna be stepping on toes, so
No.
back me up if you need to, cause, I tend to jump in. I can start working on the application.
Yep,
I may need to reach out, no, I know that I'll need to reach out to Abby and or Rebecca and get some information, some specific information. And what I'll do is, Brian, I'll keep you in the loop.
Yep.
And either copy you or ask you for, any information, but it looked pretty straightforward. It's a little lengthy, but I think it's a lot of repetition.
okay. Alright, sounds good. And I'll work on getting us some estimates for those three things, so we can have that to put with the grant.
Okay.
Alright. So we're good on that. Appoint Elizabeth Nance as Swanton representative for the NWCUD
Right.
64.
I've asked Elizabeth if she cares, she's presently on that, governing body of the Northwest Communication Union District.
Okay.
She's agreeable to serving again. So we just need a motion to appoint her, if we so choose, and need you to sign, just the chair needs to sign this, and
Sure.
Kathy needs to sign.
Okay.
I'll move that we appoint Elizabeth Nance as Swanton's representative to the Northwest Communication Unified District, or Union District.
I will second that motion.
Alright, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
So if you would.
Yep.
sign.
My signature.
And Elizabeth, you'll be in the office tomorrow?
I can be.
Okay, I just will give you a call sometime during the day, cause there's a few things here I gotta fill out.
Oh,
And I don't
okay.
think we should be putting over the air.
Alright. Good on that. Good night, Joel.
Good night, Joel.
Talk to you soon.
Night, Joel.
Good to see you, Joe.
Qualm Shore Water Quality Study. I asked to have this put on the agenda. We applied for the grant down there to study the invasive species on Qualm Shore. And the grant didn't go through. We didn't get approved. So I had discussed with a few of the residents down there, or one in particular, that maybe we might use some of the ARPA funds to pay for the grant to do this study. I think it was about $13,000. But in the meantime, we did find one other grant last week we could apply for. We applied for it yesterday, the deadline, so Elizabeth had put in for it. And I explained to them, I'm only one of 5 board members, so, you know, it's not just me making that decision.
Oh, we applied for a grant?
We applied for a grant yesterday, we just found out about last week, another one that we found, that we didn't, when we were searching, there wasn't any more we could apply for, other than one we applied for back in February. And they couldn't find any other ones, and then Elizabeth stumbled on this one the other day. Yeah. Tell me again, Elizabeth, what that was through, that grant? Congressman money or something?
It's, actually an appropriations request through, Congressman Welch's office.
Okay,
So there's no match, it would be federal funds to the appropriations process.
Yeah.
So if we were to get funded, it would, hit next year's budget, so 2023, which would start, assuming everything goes like it's supposed to, October 1st, 2022.
so it's not money for this year then?
Correct.
No. Okay, I guess I didn't realize that.
Oh, I thought in our packet here we have something about.
What's that, Earl?
I thought there was something in here about, applying for a grant, that we were gonna get the same guy that did some of the work last year. What is-
Yeah, like, it's applying for this grant, I believe it's the same individual that did work.
Yes, yeah, I don't think there was anything in the packet
Yeah,
about it.
it was the letter
It's
that was
that
sent.
Oh, it's the letter right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
right
separate, okay. Yes, this came today from, the folks down on the Palm Shore. They actually asked if we'd read this. They just wrote a letter, the folks down there supporting this, idea.
These are residents, I'm sorry, just.
Residents on the Palm Shore, yep. Do you wanna read it out loud? They asked if we'd read it out loud.
Sure. Good afternoon. We are writing to express our appreciation of your action in placing the discussion item on tonight's select board agenda to consider using federal stimulus funds to move forward with a study as proposed in our application last fall for Lake Champlain Basin Program grant funding in the year's round of projects to be undertaken. Due to limited resources and technical considerations, our proposal was not chosen. However, the granting agency never underestimated the need for study in Maquam Bay or doubted that the problems are real and deserving of attention and corrective action if warranted. We sought to study the impacts of 3 major concerns and the potential causes that may have been produced by the interaction of lower lake levels, sediment deposition, and nutrient inputs from in-lake and watershed sources. Michael Lee Smith from Arrowwood, the consultant that helped prepare our proposal last fall, is available to work on the project this year if the select board decides to allocate funds. He stated that mid to late summer is the best time to work on aquatic plant species, as they are pretty slow in getting started in the spring. He will address the issue of aquatic invasives and nuisance species present in Maquam Bay by first mapping the vegetation and sediment within the study area and the producing a management control plan that considers both the concerns over extended mudflats and regrowth of vegetation while seeking to improve recreational public access to the lake. More specifically, the original application called for 1. Examining the natural historical context of Maquam Bay, including lake water and nutrient levels, impacts of development and land use. 2. The collection of baseline data on both native, including rare species, and invasive aquatic and shoreline plants found in Maquam Bay. And finally, 3. To develop management options that consider human uses along with potential impacts to the Maquam Bay ecosystem. Ideally, these options would help reverse the reduction in recreational water quality uses, the accumulation of decaying plants, and the identification of potential follow-up measures that may be taken to mitigate or manage various concerns. Thank you for your much consideration. Sincerely, would you like me to read everybody's name off?
Oh, doesn't matter to me.
Denise Simard, Anna Morrison and Al Norman, Joseph and Nadia Fobart, Wayne and Ginny St. John, Roger and Judy George, Deirdre Lakucha and Randy Webster, Real and Carol Bazin, Jeff Barber and Pam Cook, Nancy Holmes, and Gordon and Diane Clements. All residents of the McQuam area.
Very well.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
this is Al Norman, I'm on the Zoom meeting, if you like, I'm here tonight, to give the board any history and background on this, if it's helpful, and to, maybe first of all, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for putting this on the agenda, I think it was a great idea.
Mhm.
And if there are any questions that you want answered about the grant, or about our feelings about it now, I'd be happy to do that, and Roger George is on the call as well.
okay, thank you. I don't have any questions, because I pretty much know what we were trying to get out of it. Early got any questions in the poll?
Well, we don't have a grant right now, and
We don't.
the one we applied with wouldn't
Anybody doing good
supply
this
any
year?
money till next year.
Yeah.
I mean, if the board is gonna consider this, I'm not sure we can actually just go out and hire somebody without going out to bid for that amount of money.
I'm not sure about that either, you're right, good point, but.
And I also feel like the full board should be here to make the decision if we're spending federal stimulus funds.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What's that?
Yeah. It probably should be all five of us to make this decision, not just three of us, being the federal stimulus monies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I also have a concern about piecemealing these stimulus funds.
Yeah.
As things come in.
Mhm.
Cause we don't really have a plan for that money yet. We haven't even had a public hearing to take people's opinions on what it might be used for.
Mhm.
Not that I'm opposed to this project, not at all,
Same.
but I'm a little concerned about doing it this way.
And that's why I brought it to all of us, so.
Could I just ask when you say, this late, is what you're referring to there, late in the process of deciding about stimulus funds, or?
We haven't really even started that process yet.
We haven't really discussed how we're gonna spend those funds yet throughout the town. So that's why he's bringing it up, that we don't really, we haven't been
So
playing
it's
how they're
actually
gonna.
not late.
Yeah.
It's not late, if anything, it's
No,
making an early request and trying to earmark something that's
basically, yeah.
been a languishing concern, yes.
Yeah.
Just, I also wanna point out that this grant was originally filed in October 27th, with the support of the full board, and in fact, we had a very nice letter from Town Administrator Savage, who at the time was the state rep. But the grant funds that were expected were not even announced until the spring. So that project, basically, I think the question before you is, you had a request for federal funds that was not funded by the state. It was obviously not state money, it was federal money. Do you want to use some of this federal money? When I talked to Michael Lou Smith, who was the environmental consultant, that I wrote the grant with him, and when it was my donation to the town to do that. When we were told that the grant possibility from the chairman that this might come up for discussion, I was asked to check in with Michael to see if he was available. He said yes, he would be happy to do this project, and he said that late summer, probably June, I think, is when he wanted to do the grant anyway, in terms of when the plants are available. You obviously can't do a review of the invasive and natural species in April. This is something that he wouldn't start until June. If you need more time to figure out how to best structure this as part of another federal grant, we're not under any time frame pressure tonight, just so that you know that. We obviously would be, all the neighbors down there would be delighted to see the town remains supportive of doing this, and there's, the price tag we think is reasonable, from this consultant, who gets the funds to do this mapping. This is essential preliminary data that the state will need to do any further work on Maquon Bay regarding invasive species or other concerns there are gonna take this kind of data. This work plan was put together by my conversations with state officials about what would you do if you were starting out with this project? And that's how we came up with the objective. So I hope you'll remain supportive, and I want you to know that I don't have a concern about your not, wanting to check out how you need to do it properly within the constraints of the other federal funding. You have the time to do that. I would say if you run into, haven't made a decision by May or June, then we could have a problem. But I'm sure that from my discussions with Arrowwood Consulting, they're not holding time tonight. I mean, I can't say what his time would be in June, but if the board feels that it's a productive thing to do, it probably would be good to have some further conversations with him, so we don't lose his time, because he knows this project better than anybody. So I'm not saying it's open-ended, but if you can't know all the ramifications of making the decision tonight, it's not gonna make it impossible for us to continue, but it would be helpful if it happened fairly soon.
Has this Michael Lee Smith from Arrowwood, does he have a formal proposal, written proposal?
Yeah, we submitted,
With a price?
this was submitted,
Yeah.
this was submitted by the board, on October 27th.
So it's the same proposal that was submitted before?
Well, the chairman can say what his intent was. What I was informed was that there was interest in taking an examination of whether this project, which the board had submitted, could be used through another grant fund. Federal to federal. So that's the extent of the knowledge I have, but we're not proposing a new proposal here. What I would say is that at some point, some of the details of the budget would have to be worked out with Michael Lou Smith, who is the consultant that, by the way, the state officials steered me to. When I asked them who should the town of Swanton work with, who do you think would be good at this, they gave me his name and said, why don't you contact him and find out if he's available. And he was, and we wrote the grant in 2 weeks. So I think there are some negotiations you want to work out before actually allocating a line item budget.
Yeah.
But it's the same grant we gave you in early November, in early October of 2021.
All right, thank you.
I guess I wanna clarify that if you proceeded tonight or whenever, this is, I don't believe would technically be considered a grant, but rather you're marking a portion of your stimulus funding and as a former Vermont school district public official, I can understand the question about is bidding necessary, and if you determine that it is, the information that had already been put together in this grant application could be the basis of sending a bid out to other possible companies that might do this same kind of work, so that's not a problem, and you'd already have a pretty good indication of where this consultant would come in price wise. So,
Okay.
but and the one other thing that I wanted to just remind the group tonight, at your September meeting, you folks had voted to apply for a state grant that Al would probably better know than I what the differences might have been, but that application was due by mid-February, and that would have been an actual grant from the state, perhaps due to the change in the administrator's office or whatever, that grant somehow got waylaid, so the town was not able to proceed on your commitment to apply for for that grant, but, so
Okay.
be that as it may, if you chose to earmark some of your stimulus, available funds to this study, it would certainly be helpful and would provide a good benchmark for going forward.
One more brief
quick.
comment, if I
We're gonna
may.
finish up. Yeah.
Last comment, I didn't mention this, but I probably should, it's apropos of what we're talking about. I wanted to remind you, the board, that, according to the guidelines of the Lake Champlain Basin Program, they said that, under their, I don't know whether they were citing state requirements or federal, but they were saying that if a project, the person that's performing the work under the project is getting funding of $10,000 or less, it's a no bid situation. And that in fact is what we did. We had we submitted a project, the town submitted a project with objectives and a chosen grantor, grantee that would receive the funds because it was less than $10,000. So that was a no bid. And I'm not sure, you can check with your whoever you talk to about your bidding requirements. You may not have to do a bid in this situation if you use the same kind of rules as the Lake Basin.
What I was just gonna say.
Am I recalling in part, Al, that all the time you spent in writing the grant, that was being submitted as an in-kind, or you're considered an in-kind donation
It was, but the issue is that the consultant that was gonna be used was under 10,000 and therefore did not require a bid under the requirements of the Lake Champlain Basin Program, and I think they were going by federal rules.
All right,
Because
guys.
this was a federal grant.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna make a suggestion, Earl, that we have Brian look into, this guy, Mr. Smith, to see what his bid price was and if that price is still good for this year.
Yep.
And the next question is this ARPA money, do we have to have bids on everything that we spend it on? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Does it have to be put out to bid? Or is there a number requirement that, you know? That makes sense. I think we'll start with there, and then we can have more discussion about it in the next meeting that we have all four of the board members at.
We haven't done it yet, but I'm sure there's documents that we have to download every time we do something.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm seeing, thinking how much paper trail we'd have with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Good with that, Earl?
Yeah.
Okay.
We gotta start somewhere, I mean, we don't even have a number right now.
No, we need to make sure that's the right number, so, or a good number, so. Okay, gentlemen, all good?
Yes, thank you
Okay.
so much, we appreciate your considering it.
You're welcome.
Yes, very much.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Yep.
Thank you.
Community Economic Development Leader of Operator.
Yeah,
In the-
I just was gonna mention that, because it hit the press, I guess, the next day.
It sure did.
And, because it went out on social media, it all seemed to be pretty positive all the way around.
Yep.
So, good news.
Absolutely.
And they are having an open house coming up for Maple Week.
Alright,
Yeah, this weekend.
we had talked about going,
Mhm.
and actually, I might be gone this weekend.
I haven't heard nothing from him about, because we talked about going.
Well,
down.
maybe, I don't know, Brian, if you wanted to maybe set up at the call and see if they could set up some, then we'd have to get somebody to volunteer, but it's only gonna be.
It's probably me, so, yeah.
I'm unavailable on Saturday, but I am
Yeah.
available on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be or what, but we can find out. I'll be around.
What about Friday? I wonder if they're gonna be there. Is the open house on Friday too, or is it just Saturday and Sunday?
No,
Don't know for sure, I'd have to look it up, I know I'm tied up for Saturday.
Yep.
But,
I know it's on Saturday for sure, because I know somebody else. is
Yeah,
saying they
I
won't be
definitely
here, so.
Saturday.
It's probably Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday, it's usually the way it goes. But he was gonna get back to us, Jeff, about setting up.
Those things are supposed to be smart.
They are smart. I got 4,000 things going on. April 22nd, 23rd, so it's Friday and Saturday.
Friday.
Friday and Saturday.
Oh, well, okay.
Okay,
Oh,
so,
I'm not gonna be able to do it Friday
Yeah.
either.
No,
Forget about that. I'd like to forget about that.
Thank you all.
you thank you guys for
Thank you.
coming, have a good night.
Have a good night.
I don't know if you wanna try to do something, no, maybe.
Well, we can reach out to Jeff or whoever and find out what they got going on.
Sounds
Yeah.
like, probably a really good thing to do. You got new people coming in, you know.
Yeah.
it's-
Well, we need to know if they're gonna be there both days or just coming on Friday
Yeah.
or what, so maybe we could reach out to Jeff tomorrow and ask him what's what, and, cause we did talk about that and he didn't get back to us, so.
I'm sure they got plenty going on.
Oh, yeah,
Just
I'm sure.
to let them know that the town, you know,
Yeah.
appreciates it and, hopes they're gonna be successful.
Yeah.
Okay. Give them a call tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. Elizabeth, you got an update for us?
I was gonna do it under, excuse me, I was gonna do it, I was told I need to talk louder.
There we
I was
go.
gonna do yeah, it helps when you have the laptop in your lap. I was gonna do it under public comment, but I'll do it now.
That'd be fun.
I believe it is 4th annual Swanton Community-wide Yard Sale will be Saturday, May 22nd. You all should have gotten an email with the notice. I have 5 so far signed up. They usually come in batches later, but, anybody can get the word out. It will be May 22nd. The rain date is May 23rd. So we will be doing our annual Swanton Community Yard Sale, in May. So I think that was, kind of the next thing coming up. I'm working on, oh my goodness, I don't know what I was thinking, I'm so sorry. So I'm very happy, Brian gave me the news a couple weeks ago, I had a really bad commute into work, he made my day. He got an email from V-Trans, notifying me that we had gotten a grant, and it was actually for the village, so it's not a town grant, but it was the village to implement portions of the downtown implementation, from the scoping study. So it would be the all-way stop at First Street and Grand Avenue. It would shorten the crosswalk at the gas station that was pumping much and the, Village Green. It would relocate the crosswalk from the Swanton Chamber Ace, Memorial Hardware, to Merchants Row across Grand Avenue. It would relocate that. And it would design and construct a sidewalk in front of Merchants Row, to make it more handicap accessible. So we're really excited about that. One of those projects that's been waiting a while. And then we are slowly, but surely making progress on the Riviera Hotel. The Regional Planning's Brownfields Committee approved funding for the phase 2. The consultant was out a week or so ago taking a look because the estimate was a little old, so they updated the estimate, came in a little higher. But, excuse me, the Brownfield Committee has approved the additional cost, so there's a 30-day period that has to be reviewed. So we should, fingers crossed, should be seeing the phase 2 work at the Riviera Hotel starting the end of May. That could result in a corrective action plan depending on what they find. We're hoping it's just building materials because of the age of the building, asbestos and that kind of thing. So we're seeing some slow progress on the Riviera Hotel finally.
Well, if you don't hurry up, Elizabeth, it ain't gonna be there.
No,
Well-
on the street.
One way or the other, right, but, it's been a painful process. I'm hoping we're over the hump and the next steps will be a little quicker. But we shall see. I'm optimistic, but cautiously.
Okay. anything else, Elizabeth?
Just one more thing, and I talked to James about this and Brian, but I'll give, Earl and Nicole, and I guess I'll reach out to, Mark and Ed separately. Next Tuesday, I start foster parent training, and it's every Tuesday from next week through June, from 6 to 9 in Plattsburgh. So you'll get written reports from me, but I will be unable to attend select board meetings.
We're gonna
So I
make Tim
can-
come instead?
I'm sorry?
We're gonna send Tim instead?
I will send Tim when appropriate, yes.
There we go.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I apologize, I didn't have a choice on the day of the week, but it's something I'm really committed to rightly or
Yeah,
wrongly.
no, I get it.
So,
Okay,
Thank
sounds good. As long as we get our reports, we're good, so.
okay, thank you.
Alright,
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, have a good night, Elizabeth.
Thank you, you too.
Highway updates, don't have anything.
Oh, we sent the grant in for
Yeah.
BB Road.
Yeah, we sent the grant in for BB Road.
Preparing, to send out bids for the rest of the blacktop.
The paving, yeah.
Paving.
Yeah, we're working on that, we wanna get that up to bid soon.
And then also it's sort of under highway at the old at the 4th Street garage. Dean from the village was in last week, and they're gonna do probably put in a new sidewalk there. I gave him a copy of the plans,
Yeah.
and they want to put a new sidewalk in, and then a crosswalk.
Yeah.
So he also just reminded me that to remind you guys that there is water and sewer service to that piece of property.
There is, yep.
So in any case of
Yep.
you know, and that, so that if you see something going on over there, that's what that's about. Because he that's really all I had for highway.
Right, on them grants, it's just for BB Road, there's no other grant funding for paving?
It was just for class 2.
Yeah.
It's just BB Road.
And it's just BB, that's the only one we could get in?
Right, cause that's
Yeah.
like the maximum.
Yeah, it's the maximum, it's only
Yeah.
200,000.
That's the maximum.
Paving price was 230?
When,
239.
Yeah, 239, so I thought.
when we put the highway budget together, did we figure 2,000 for paving for BB Road, or 200,000, as you said?
I thought it was 300,000.
We have a
We
paving
increased the
grant. We have a
paving budget to
paving-
325,000.
Yeah.
Is what we did. And then we're in hopes that we get the grant for that road. And what's gonna happen if we don't get that, we're gonna have to pave that road and not pave any other roads that we're gonna pave. I mean, this would be the 3rd year that we didn't get it, we were supposed to have got it last year, so I hope to God we got it this year.
There's no other grants out there, though, with all that federal stimulus money for highways, the state.
Well, we can use
I-
ARPA funds for that.
There
but-
could be
No, I
something
mean-
coming down the pike. Remember, the budget has not been.
It's not been
it's
set,
done,
so-
So,
Yeah.
you know, that would get like a special grant. Also on Wheeler Ramp,
Yeah,
the 7 structures.
Yeah.
I did
That was
talk
nice.
with David Leclerc.
Yep,
He's
lives
what
over there.
is the homeowners association, which
Yep.
they don't have a lot of money. However, and I also talked with Reggie, so we're gonna have to get together. David thought he works for the company that sells those
Yeah.
structures. He's gonna get together with Dean to see if they want steel or the plastic, but of course, given the supply
Oh, I'm sure
issues,
it's gonna be
you'd
steel.
take probably what
Yeah.
they get. It should be steel, I would
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And then Reggie thought somehow maybe they could take care of the labor, so, but
Yeah.
not being very committed. That's why we have to get together and just see what
yeah.
we're talking. And then those would be set, but we gotta make sure that is in fact going to be one of the ones being repaid.
Yeah, it's gonna be paved, that's on top priority, it's
Yeah,
pretty rough shape.
yeah, it is in
So,
rough shape. I rode
This to
around
fill
it.
both in on the storm drains we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is the problem is over there is we don't own, the town or the village doesn't own the sewer or the water system.
Yeah.
We're only obligated to maintain the road, so
Yeah.
how does the town pay for raising these manholes? It's not really our responsibility. So that's where it was brought up, is do they have an association that's gonna pay to have these raised, or,
Their association,
Yeah, I mean,
they have to, pay the permit, renewal fees, and they do, so they
Yeah.
collect enough money for that. If they have a break in the water
Yeah.
line or something, they'll go around and try to raise the money, but it's,
Yeah.
it's helter skelter at best.
oh, I'm sure, yeah.
But, you know, so that.
So-
And I don't know the cost of these manhole risers, I didn't ask that, but.
No, I was trying to get that, but
Mhm.
Reggie didn't really know neither, so
Yeah.
it's a case
It's
of
probably
labor.
not wicked crazy. How
No,
about that?
no, I don't.
Yeah.
So if we are committed to do the Beaver Road, gotta do that because
Yeah.
we're tearing it all up, but, and then.
Well, that, they're gonna pay that back as part of the contract, they'll
Yeah.
pay back what they tear up, so.
Alright, so then you're left with Wheeler Round, so that could be the only two roads we get paved this year.
That's-
I don't, I wish I had the paper in front of me, but I don't have it in front of me. So we had on there, the rough estimate was to pave Beebe Road, Wheeler Round, Bushy Road from the bridge to the end of the Bushy Road towards St. Albans. And then, all of Campbell's Bay Road. I think that was it. But it came in at like $700 something thousand.
A lot.
So it's way over what we have estimated.
Well,
So that's where I've been going back and forth. It was, I think it was 200,000 to pave Campbell's Bay Road. It was 239,000 to pave Beatty Road.
You didn't know that when the budget was put together.
No, and
This is
things
all
have
happening.
like doubled this year. So, yeah.
Yeah,
But the problem is we have to be careful of is when we put it out to bid, that needs to be what we're going to do. Because they play the game. If you change after the fact, then well, we're doing less than what we bid on, so now we're going to charge you more money. So we have to know what we're going to do.
So
we have the numbers.
You're putting every road out for bid that you planned on doing.
That's the plan. That's what I'm saying. We have to figure that out before we put it out to bid. Because we ran into that last year because we didn't get the grant for Beaver Road we expected. So they said, well, we were not paving as much. We're going to charge you more. So we went around with them about paving.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? They know we only got so much money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. No, that's the issue. So, and I don't know. Who knows with the state? We're going to find out whether we get that money or not. That's the hard part. And it's nice. Just one second. And it's nice to get it out the bid early, so we get some decent bids on it. So, yeah.
So Vermont received $1.4 billion in infrastructure payments from the federal government
Yep.
for this year. So how do we go about tracing what portion of that does Swanton get for its infrastructure and roads?
Don't know yet.
And I don't think they know them all clear either. That's the issue.
Yeah, it's, I would say the bulk of that will go to the state highways.
Yeah.
And bridges.
I know that's what I heard
Collectively,
originally.
for state aid, for local aid, you're lucky statewide to get $1 million appropriated,
For the town?
for the towns.
Yeah.
All
All the towns.
Oh,
In fact, we had to fight like hell a couple of years ago to get an extra $1 million. It was, pretty
So
nasty.
does anyone like reach out to Patrick Leahy or any of those people just to get an idea of, or somehow figure out how much of that the communities and the towns will get? And what's the criteria of which they assign it to?
Yeah. I don't think they have any yet. That's the part of the issue. They don't know that funds are coming, but they haven't said how they're going to spend those funds. And from what I heard, it was mostly state stuff. They were going to put it on bridges and highways and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like a lot of money,
Mhm.
and it's all of our taxpayer money, so I think it's worth doing the diligence and raising our hands to find out how much of that, when it comes, because Congress has approved it.
Yeah.
When it comes, how are we gonna get our fair share? What concerns me is that we just throw up our hands and say, well, and it's not anyone's fault, I would too, it's a lot of bureaucratic nonsense, but
Yeah.
how do we ensure that we get our fair share of that? What's the process? Because the other downside is if we take it out of regular state funds, I'm sorry, not state funds, but residential taxpayer funds, because we don't think we're gonna get the money from the federal government, and we do the work, and it's done, they're definitely not gonna give it to us.
Yeah.
So I would think to plan the projects maybe around that, might not be a bad idea.
Well, and that's why we have a paving budget in it, built into our budget, that this is how much we have a year to spend, and that's how we spend it. So unfortunately, the prices of stuff have doubled this year because of everything that's going on with the price of fuel.
And that's year to year, you do that anyway, which is great,
Yeah.
because that's part of a regular plan, but
Mhm.
when I heard you say, well, you might have to pave one street and not another,
Yeah.
it makes me think of, you know, why, with this $1.4 billion going to Vermont, I mean, what is it that any of us, community members or officials can do to reach out to the state and to our legislators and
Yeah.
find out what exactly is coming our way?
Yeah.
If we can get that, or at
Yeah.
least pressure.
And we should be able to ask our local officials that, you know,
Because,
if there's anything, that they have any indication what they're gonna do with it, if it's, any of it's gonna be divided amongst the towns, or the state's gonna keep it for themselves, you know? That's the hard part, yeah.
I can reach out, Matt Walker, who took my seat,
Yeah.
is on the transportation
Oh,
account,
that's
so
good.
that's good.
Yeah, it's worth asking,
Yeah,
certainly,
see
so,
what he's heard.
thanks for bringing that up, Mark.
Yeah, it'll be happening pretty soon because
It's getting down to
the last week's when everything gets done, right?
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's when they're gonna give you up money for the other, like, the Road grant, I would assume. So, we should know soon.
So if we get the BB Road grant, that is only for 200,000.
That's only for 200, so we got 39,000 to kick into that, yeah. So you got 290,000, whatever, yeah.
That gives us that 200,000 to use somewhere else.
Yeah. And there is a little bit of carryover money we have too, when we put some of that, like we did last year, towards it to help with it, but I'll bring the numbers for the next meeting so we can have a better plan. I don't know why it don't happen today. The only other thing I got for highway, they asked, if people put the body on the truck, Tenco, put the stuff on it, they're having a show in Barry. I don't know, it's in the next couple weeks, they wanna know if we, I used the new truck at the show to show it off, so I told them it was okay. I said, well, ask them what they're gonna give us for free, cause they usually give us something good for
Yeah,
used
you're
ones.
supposed to go in parade too.
Yeah,
It's Memorial Day.
And Big
Yes.
Rig, and Big Rig Day.
yeah, we gotta get lettered up,
Big
so
Rig Day.
the stickers are on it, so. One thing I'll bring up while we're on our highway, I saw an email about the bill for the body.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know it came.
Yeah, it came, so I'm gonna have to make a phone call because there was no discussion about any holdback or anything on that because of the other body for the truck, so. And then the guy that was our salesman, from what I've been told, is he's disappeared into the company somewhere else, and so I don't wanna pay that bill until we have something. Some memorandum of understanding, and we're holding back some money on that.
Not any
Till-
orders anyway.
No,
No,
it only just came, so
Yeah.
I emailed it to
Yeah,
Jen,
so I'll
to
try
let
to
her
get
know
hold
that
of
it came.
somebody, but there's big changes there, they're changing companies and some people aren't working for that company anymore, and another one of these deals where the big corporate bought out the little guy, so. So I'll have some discussion this week with them, find out what's what with that bill. Other than that, the guys have been doing a roadside cleanup, they've been doing a great job. The endless task of picking up trash, so.
And they're also, Kathy and I talked the other day, and I mentioned it to Kevin, they're gonna come down and get this lawn around here in shape.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
beat
you
up.
gotta sweep up the driveway too there,
Sweep
so.
up the driveway and,
Yeah, we're gonna wait for it to dry up a little bit now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I'd like to thank them on the behalf of the rec department for coming to help us fix the driveway into our back
Yeah.
parking lot. It,
No,
it made
looks
a
good now.
world of a difference.
Yeah. Absolutely, keep the water out of there, so. Yeah, perfect.
What do you think about planting some flowers or something?
Well, I don't have a green thumb, but I'm all for planting flowers.
Maybe we can plant some out front.
We do have some that will be coming up, we have some perennials out there.
Yeah.
But in the fall, I wanna do some tulips and daffodils for spring out there, so we have the spring flowers.
They're all probably gonna help and plant those balls, so.
Oh, I was thinking about here too, because
Yeah, we
yeah,
could, yeah,
line in the sidewalk a little
Yeah.
bit, you know.
sure.
And that's something the Swanton Enhancement Project Beautification Committee might be able to help in as well.
You come up with a plan.
Okay. I did with the front.
Yeah.
And it cost us like 1/12 of what it was gonna cost us.
Okay, anything else on the highway? I can't think of it on top of my head. but- Expenditures, general orders. I hear a motion to approve the general orders from 3/16/22 to 4/19/2022.
I'll move.
A second,
Second.
alright. Discussion, I gotta take a second look at it, cause I haven't had a clue. Any other discussion on them? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Highway order, same dates.
I'll move that we approve the highway order for 3/16 to 4/19.
Second.
Second on that, okay, I'm just gonna take a quick second, look them over.
Question, is the gas bill normally that high for the highway
it's-
department?
For
The Vermont gas systems,
Which one's that? Where that?
page 3 of 4.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for both the
Both
garages.
garages, yeah.
It's for both, it'll go down, this is February,
Yeah.
it's April, so it's for the month. They split it like
Yeah,
for
well,
March,
it's
part
not a
of February,
house,
part
it's
of
huge
March.
shop.
No, I know,
so
I
there's a lot of stuff
understand.
they do, but yeah, it is winter time, so.
I know their rates went up, so I just didn't know if
Yeah.
it was reflecting their.
Okay. I don't think anything looks good to me. Any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. And I'll entertain a motion for the payroll orders and dates.
I'll make a motion to accept the payroll orders dated 3/16/2022 to 4/19/2022.
Any other discussion on that?
I second it.
You second that? Yeah, there we go. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, ayes have it. Got one more, library orders, same dates. Library payroll orders.
I make a motion to accept the library payroll orders dated 3/16/2022 to 4/19/2022.
I'll second that.
Alright, any other discussion?
Yes, I've just thought of something.
Oh boy.
When we approve these orders, we actually never put the amount in the minutes. I mean, I don't,
We never have,
I'm gonna say we never
we
have.
never have.
I know, never.
How do you put the amount, I guess you could put the total amount. but-
Yeah, the total
Total
amount, that's what I
amount,
mean, yeah.
Yeah,
We're approving the orders for this amount.
yeah, we could, yeah,
So,
so it's documented, I guess. I mean, it's
I mean,
documented in
it's
Pat's
It's
records.
something I just got to thinking when I was on the school board, you always had to have the amount
Mhm.
there. And I don't know, you know, there may be some legal reason why it might be a good idea to have it in there. Because this is what we approved to spend, because we're supposed to control the money, so we can't spend any more. But,
Are those packets filed? The packets that you give to the select board, are they filed like
Yeah,
in the
Joe.
vault?
keeps a copy.
So all of that information is in the
there,
vault.
yeah.
And plus with the selectmen orders, I have to keep those.
Mhm.
The signed ones, I have a file, I have
Yeah.
years of them.
yeah,
So if anyone had a question, they could come
You know,
in.
the
and-
auditors, when they.
Yeah,
look
they,
at them.
right, they look at them when they come to.
well, maybe it's not a big deal, but just something I thought of it, you
Yeah.
know, because you're talking about transparency, there it is, you know, somebody reads
Yeah.
the minutes on the website, they know how much was spent for the highway and how much was spent for the general.
I have a question, Kathy. Do you get paid bi-weekly, the library?
Amy. I can give you one.
They get paid bi-weekly at the library?
Yes,
Yeah.
every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I figured by the way looking at it. Alright. We got a first and a second, we're all good on that?
Yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Alright, that was all done. Any other necessary business? We got AH 715.
Okay, H 715, I was, Mr. LaRose, stopped into my office the other day, and, the gentleman was building redeveloping the liquor store in that area.
Okay.
With this, apparently from the Bourne Family Energy, the bill, the clean heat standard H715, which is about 26 pages long. But the bottom line of this is that if this passes, which it did pass the House, and is sitting in the Senate, it's gonna make, those of us who are heating, in a move to push everybody to heat with electricity. And if you don't convert to electricity, we end up, those of us not heating with electricity, we put the cost of paying for it back on to those of us that are eating with oil, propane, and even natural gas. It's called the check back. They need to add a check back amendment to H715, so they could decide to give credit only to those who want to heat with electricity and not for those heating with oil, heat, and propane. So there is a move afoot trying to get everybody to come on board and to write their legislative delegation, definitely their senators, because this is in the Senate now, voting them to make sure that they vote no if there is no amendment. So he just wondered if it was something that we would, if the select board would entertain sending a letter. It's encouraging to vote no. It would, I'm not in the inner workings, but if they encourage people to heat with electricity, electric rates, though we have some of the lowest in the state, it's still pretty expensive to heat. They're talking these heat pumps, which are not,
They're not designed
to heat a house at below zero weather. Then that cost would be put on to people who are heating with oil and propane and natural gas. So that's.
I'm fine with sending a letter of support.
I think this,
So, if you can't afford to convert, you still pay the penalty.
That would be about it.
It would seem really fair. I mean, certainly see the reason why they wanna go to electricity, even though electricity may not be the answer in the end, but I understand what they're trying to do, but there are people that cannot afford to do that.
You can't afford to do the conversion.
Yeah.
That's right.
And with the facility or the house, the way the house was, it may not be practical. There may be a lot of other issues there you have to deal with. I do heat with electricity with geothermal, and it works great. 30 below, no problem. But the house was designed from the beginning to do it. It's tough to do it on an old house.
Oh, very hard.
I've heard about this bill before, I've read about it a couple times, and it isn't really fair. I mean, it's one of those, make somebody else pay type deal.
Punishing them.
Right. So we don't have to pay.
Right. That.
I don't have a problem with,
Okay. I'll just write a very brief letter.
and we're concerned about this, and we have businesses, and not only businesses, but people in this community that might be in a position where they can't afford to do all this.
Exactly. If people want fixed budgets and
Yeah.
it's tough enough now, the price of people.
Do you want to individually sign that, or I can just sign it saying that the board?
What's more effective? You were a legislator.
Well, it's the time. See, the timing. This is, I checked, it's still sitting in the committee in the Senate, but it could move any day. So the quicker we can get it done and out, the better. That's all.
Okay.
Well, could the board chair stop by tomorrow?
I have a stamp, so you need a stamp. They have a stamp, they can
Oh,
stamp it.
really?
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll use the stamp.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
We can do
do
that.
we wanna make a motion?
Yeah, let's make a motion, have Brian write this letter.
Alright,
Yeah.
no, you wanna do it, you want me?
I'll make a motion to have Brian write a letter to the senators regarding H715 and sign it with.
Stamp it when I stamp her, yeah.
I'll second it.
Alright, any discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Alright,
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Correspondence, we got anything under that?
No, the only correspondence I got was, and it was the cemetery commission.
Yeah.
That Gary Senabar resigned his position on the cemetery commission. Yeah. That was the only, significant correspondence,
Okay.
there was nothing else that came in.
Alright. Public comment, anything under public comment? Upcoming events, Thursday, April 21st, joint, oh my god, I can't talk, joint town and village informational meeting for the special town and village vote at 7 p.m. Village Complex. And that's again on the 4/21 this week. Tuesday, 4/26/22, a special vote town, I can't talk tonight, special town vote, special village vote, and Missisquoi Valley School District vote. Polls are open from 7 to 7 at the Swanton Village Complex, 121st Street. And again, that's on the April 26th, from 7 to 7. Get out and vote, please. Wednesday, 4/27, Planning Commission, 6 p.m. Swanton Town Offices here, 1 Academy Street. Thursday, 4/28, DRB, 6 p.m. Swanton Town Office here, 1 Academy Street. Tuesday, May 3rd, regular select board meeting, 7 p.m. here at the town offices, 1 Academy Street. Executive session, I see we have personnel real estate, we need that.
Earl, you have something on real estate?
Yeah. You wanna
a
go
little
there?
bit, but, before we go into there.
Yeah.
Thursday night, how's that gonna be handled?
Well, I mean, each respective board is gonna have to open up their meetings. And I'm not sure who's, there'll be probably questions asked of the village, I would assume they're gonna answer, questions asked of the town, you guys can answer. As I have said, I don't mind explaining why it's being voted on, the way it's being voted. Then I know there'll be some people there speaking in favor of, and there'll be some people speaking opposed to, and.
Are we gonna set it up so that they can have their 10 minutes right off the bat and get it going, or are we gonna do it piecemeal?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get hold of Reggie or Neil, I'm not sure who is actually. Reggie is still very much under the weather, can barely talk, so.
Well, and that's, yeah, but, where is the advocate guy? Is he gonna be
He's
there?
going to be there.
He is gonna be
Oh,
there.
he'll be there.
Is he
Yeah.
gonna make a presentation?
I would assume he would be.
Does he know he has to?
Neil was in charge.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you can
organizing
talk
that.
to Neil about that, Neil has a special himself.
There. And I sent you all the thing I wrote up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's been fired out this afternoon when I hit, so. I just have to put it on the website and put it on Facebook. There was a discussion last week on Facebook and Swanton community page. And they were talking about how much money we're gonna get in taxes from them. And there's a lady who works for Vermont League of Cities and Towns, Gwen Zakoff, who used to be, she's an attorney, but she used to be the assistant clerk of the Vermont House. So I know her,
Yeah.
and she picked up on that. And she explained to them, no, you are not gonna get any tax revenue because you don't have a local option tax. That's the only tax you're gonna get. And so that's why I mentioned that.
Yeah.
If for us to get the local option tax, we'd have to have it voted on next year at town meeting. then send it to the legislature, they approve it. Then, we wouldn't collect any local option tax until July 1st, 2023. But it's just not on cannabis, it's across the board and everything. And I don't, one thing, and however this vote goes, I would hope the town and the village both vote the same way. Because if we decided to go with a local option tax, I don't know how you'd ever have a separate one for the town and a separate one for the village. Because it's all goes by zip code.
Well, some of that, it gets to be kind of a moot point, because if you're looking at 1% local tax,
Yeah.
and just say this place grosses $1 million a year, and I'm thinking that might be a little crazy, but you never know. I mean, I can't believe a liquor store sells that kind of volume in a year's time, maybe they do.
Yeah.
But 1% times $1 million is only $10,000.
Yeah, and you only get 60% or 66% of that.
Oh, you don't get the full 1%?
Oh, no, the state's gonna keep it for.
Go for
Administrative fees.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're down to $6,000.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Well,
Good
regardless
idea.
of which way
See you later.
the vote goes, if the village votes yes and we vote no, there's still gonna be a lot of work done by us in regards to zoning and other
Yeah, that's the other issue, I think,
issues.
that somebody needs to be bringing up to people at that meeting is, zoning. The town plan's coming up, and, we really need to consider this, even if it doesn't pass, because you've got cultivation and you've got processing. And do you wanna limit it, I
And
think,
retail.
well, retail if it passes.
Right.
But if it doesn't, then, but we still, somebody
have to
could
look-
start growing it in their garage out back.
Right, you don't.
Or processing.
The vote is for retail only.
I know.
You don't need a vote for the growing.
Right,
Yeah,
so,
but if there's no zoning, what are we gonna do if somebody comes in and says, well, I'm doing this? Or they
So,
just go ahead and do
At this
it?
point, the state handles all that anyway. Basically, my job is to make sure they're permitted for
From the
the
state.
business, right, from the state, and then follow our local guidelines for any
For
other business.
retail or
Any other
business, right?
business.
You-
Yep,
But do we want to continue to do that?
well,
Or
that's
do
something.
we wanna have cannabis have some certain things?
I don't
Well-
know if you can.
Right.
Well, it's like the liquor, you have the liquor store.
Well, I don't know, the other towns
That's
that
what
we're
it
reading
is.
about,
they do.
they do.
And then they have code enforcement because you have to think about things like fire safety and electrical safety.
Well, yeah,
and-
it's the same code enforcement as, like the processing is highly flammable.
Right,
So
because
you
of the
wouldn't want
solids.
that necessarily in a crowded area.
Well, you don't want it in a residential area.
Right.
So you'd have to limit it to, do you wanna limit to the, that's what these other towns pretty much have done with the processing part. If they're gonna extract that oil,
Right.
their zoning requires them to be in the industrial
Right.
area. You can't do it.
So, yeah, we'll have to talk about some of that
Yeah.
stuff,
There is, it's not just retail, there's that part of it too.
right,
And then, somebody could, start a place right next to the school growing pot. If they wanted to. Right now.
right.
Yeah.
But that the state, again, has their hands in it, and I
Yeah,
don't
but if
know
we
if.
got local zoning that says there has to be setbacks from certain areas
I
to do these
understand
things,
that.
and
I
then
understand that.
they're not gonna get their license.
The thing is if it was up to the Attorney General, you wouldn't even have this vote, because he was
Oh, I
of
know, I
the
understand
opinion that everybody, it's just free for all. And, so that, my understanding, although they're developing these rules, not all the rules are done yet. And when I called Gwen and we spoke, and, the Cannabis Control Board doesn't know if they're coming or going.
Oh.
They don't know, they're just developing it as they go along.
I'm surprised.
Because I asked, could they get somebody up here, or Vermont leagues to the towns, and they can't, they just don't have the people to do it. So I'm not sure, I printed off all the rules thus far.
I've also talked to Greta at Northwest Regional Planning, and they are working on something for towns,
To
so.
put in their
Yeah.
zoning and planning.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Well, we're definitely gonna have to consider it, I mean,
Yes.
even if it vote doesn't, even if they vote no on the retail part, I think we still need to have, you know, as long as we're updating our town plan, should go in there, and you might wanna, you know, have adopt some zoning setbacks and stuff like this. Advertising, storefront,
We've talked about that.
that's something that these other communities that I was reading about, that, you know, they're very.
Yeah, but those who weren't in Vermont.
No, they weren't in Vermont.
Vermont that's freedom of speech, that's what they've already said, the Attorney General, so I don't know.
We've talked about some of this
Yeah.
stuff, and we'll, obviously, Northwest Regional Planning will help us with that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, the Attorney General's a big advocate for free-for-all, basically, that's the problem. And, because he equates it to, you know, kids walk by in a
Yeah.
liquor store.
Mhm.
But, and I believe you have to be aged, one thing that surprised me, you have to be age 21 to be in the store,
Correct.
which is, that's a major
Oh, I
accomplishment.
didn't know that, that'd be something you gotta point out to you then.
Yeah. That, for
But
Vermont,
who's
that
gonna
was-
enforce that?
well, the police, the same as they would, and I would assume there's a cannabis control, like liquor inspectors, they must have cannabis inspectors, I would assume, but I don't know.
They probably don't yet, but they'll get there.
They'll get there.
So,
But that's something that we should discuss at that meeting is a public safety plan for, you know, whichever direction it goes. I mean, moving into the future, it's gonna be here, well, whether it's in Swanton or Highgate or Sheldon or St. Albans, I mean,
Well,
it's something that we need to think
that's
about
the
in
other
general.
thing. It's, if this vote passes, it's not a done deal, they're gonna locate Swan. Because
Oh, no.
the state is gonna control the number of places by population.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can remember when there wasn't a liquor store in Swan. You had to go to Alberg or St. Albans.
Yeah, they're not gonna be popping up on every corner,
Yeah.
because it's
Hey,
not.
there's a liquor store in Auburn, that'd be so much
There
fun.
was.
yeah, there was.
It was, it's closed now.
Yeah, it's closed now, but there was. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's, I mean, it's something we're probably gonna end up having to deal with, regardless of what happens on the vote. You know, I guess maybe the longer it drags on, the more people get used to the idea, and maybe they won't. But I think there's legitimate concerns that I've heard from people as far as location, you know, and things like that.
Yeah,
But the money issue, I think, you know, there isn't gonna be any real money there.
not at 1% or well.
No, not back to
66%
taxpayers.
of 1%.
No.
No. The state is gonna
Yeah,
probably get a lot.
they got like a 14% excise tax plus the sales tax.
The promoter in his presentation says, well, the Cannabis Control Board is highly recommending to the legislature that they give some of that 14% back to the towns. That ain't gonna happen, I can tell you that. Janet Ansel, the chair of House Ways and Means, doesn't wanna give anything to any town or city, period. She wants to keep it all for Montpelier.
Well,
That's,
they're only talking 1 or 2%.
Yeah, right.
That's what I read.
She won't do that. She's never.
So even if they do, I mean, that's still not.
No.
In fact, they started with her, and she put up such a fuss. She said she killed the cannabis bill. She has the power to do it, so they backed off. She says, "Okay, nobody's gonna get anything." Stop, and that's it. So, yeah, she's.
Well, I don't know, I mean, I guess Brian, if you're gonna get a hold of that guy, I don't know about Crystal, if she called you yet?
Who?
Crystal?
Oh yeah, we had
Okay.
a good talk today.
Okay, so I mean, if you were gonna set it up at the beginning, give them each side 10 minutes, and then, you know, I guess your chair, you'd have to address the issue as far as what's going on, or Brian can.
Yeah.
Whatever you want Brian to do, that's fine, I mean, from the revenue side, You know, and the other thing, like you're saying, that they gotta be 21, and here's what we know right now, but we don't know a lot,
But
but.
I would hope that the police chief will be there.
I would hope.
I will find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I, you know, and then I don't know, the trustees, I mean, how do they wanna do it? Do they just wanna sit there and take questions and
Well, I think
answers?
Neil wants to run the whole thing. I think he's gonna run the whole thing and probably field questions. I'm not, you know, I haven't really had a.
We can have a discussion with Neil, I can talk to Neil too, so.
Yeah, you wanna,
I call him tomorrow.
you know, make sure everybody's on the same.
Yeah.
wavelength.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
And, yeah. So, but Crystal is planning on being there along with, a gentleman that works with her.
Paul Chapman.
And they were trying to get Dr. Chip to come, but they haven't been able to get in touch with him. So that, and I'll bring the rules with me, I'll read through them and because it's probably about 100 and some odd pages of rules so far.
You know, I know we need businesses in Swan, and, it's probably inevitable it's gonna be happening, but, I don't want people to think that we're trying to sneak something through.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
we need to present the facts.
Like
And that's why they're having the right to vote, so.
Yeah.
I went into the store 2 nights ago and picked up some milk at Jolly's, and there was these buzz balls they call them.
Yeah.
They're like they're a round can, but it's
It's a malt liquor beverage.
malt liquor beverage, and it's just a little thing like that. I mean,
It's very strong.
yeah, that's what she said, very strong, and I'm surprised
They're
that
not very good.
I'm
Yeah, you have
surprised
to mix
that
them with something.
I don't know what the alcohol content is, but she was surprised herself that liquor control was letting the store sell it, but she said it was strong. So, and I'm thinking, well, it's really kind of an appealing packaging to kids.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright,
Well, I just wanted to
we'll go on that.
get some kind of idea of what's gonna be going on.
Alright, I'll entertain the motion to go into executive session then, or have someone. do
I
that.
move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential contract personnel information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I'll second it.
Yep, a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I move that based on the just made findings that premature disclosure would place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage, we enter executive session.
Second that
Second
too.
on that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Recording stopped.
Ayes have it.